Good evening, and thank you for joining our parent information webinar. We apologize for the delay. We are having a little bit of difficulty getting all of our presenters into the room tonight, so Principal Doherty will be joining us as an attendee, but we may not be able to see her on screen. Tonight we are joined with all of our White Plains High School administrative team. I'll start by introducing myself. I am Guy Vitiello, and I am one of the assistant principals here.
Hi, how are you? My name is Reagan Figueroa. I'm also one of the assistant principals here at White Plains High School. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Hall. I'm one of the other assistant principals here at White Plains High School, and I oversee our guidance department. Welcome, and we look forward to seeing all of your students in the fall.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. This is Matt Cameron. I'm the athletic director for the school district. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Will Dixon, and I'm the South House Administrator at the high school.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Rappaport. I'm one of the South House administrators at the high school also. Hope you all had a good summer.
Hi, good evening. I'm Carly MURRELL. I'm a North House administrator.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being with us tonight. I am Mark Russo. I work alongside Ms. MURRELL as one of the North House administrators.
Good evening. I am Natasha Freeman-Mack, and I am the high school administrator for student activities.
So tonight we'd like to spend some time to really look at what our opening of school is going to look like this fall. We know a lot of questions have been submitted, and we are going to do our best to answer as many questions as we can. Please know that some of this information is fluid in that it continues to change. And because of that, we will be updating our website very regularly. So we ask that you please visit the White Plains High School webpage for the most up-to-date current information. And of course, we will continue to send out our K-12 alerts. So hybrid learning next year at White Plains High School will look like what's exactly here on the slide. We're going to have 6 student groups, and I'm sure many of you know this already as students have started to receive their schedule. Those learning groups will be red, blue, green, purple, yellow, and pink. Every child is assigned to a learning group, and the color of that learning group designates the day of the week that your student will be coming to school. So if your child is in the red group, he or she will come on Monday, the blue group will attend on Tuesday, green will attend on Thursday, purple on Friday, our yellow group will attend on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and our pink group will attend on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, as well as half of a day on Wednesday. We are in the process of mailing home a comprehensive document that outlines what these groups will look like in a little bit more detail, but essentially our schedule will look as such. So 25% of general education students will attend school on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Again, as I said, 25% of our population will attend on each of those days. Our yellow group, which is made up of our English language learners, will attend school on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And our pink group, which is made up of our self-contained students, our SAIL program students, and our integrated support services program students will attend each day, as well as for half of a day on Wednesday, and that time is 7:35 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. So over the next few days, you'll receive a copy of this chart in the mail, along with other important information. It can also be found on the webpage under the section titled Student Schedule and Attendance Information. So we've received this question a few times, how many people will be in the building and each classroom? Basically, this model allows for approximately 600 students to be in the building 4 days a week. There are approximately 250 staff members that will be in the building each day. The number of students in a classroom is determined by how many students can socially distance in a space. This is true for classrooms, study halls, gyms, and the cafeteria. Students will be moving from classroom to classroom throughout the day. Students are going to be encouraged, of course, to practice social distancing throughout the building whenever possible, as well as washing their hands regularly and often. And hand sanitizer dispensers will be in the classrooms for student use. So there are a lot of benefits to this model. As you can see, by creating 4 groups, and those groups are mixed grade level, so that means that students grades 9 through 12 will be in each of those groups. Group numbers and class sizes, we are able to balance them each day to remain within our maximum number of students permitted in a classroom. Our algorithm in Infinite Campus, which is our student management system, assigns students of the same household, grades 9 through 12, to come to school on the same day, regardless of their grade level. This also helps to facilitate some of the mixed grade level classes which we have here at the high school. We do get new students throughout the summer and throughout the year, and this model allows the administrative team to make sure that our groups are balanced as new students join our student population. In the event, as we hope, we'll be able to allow more students to enter the building. By using this model, we're easily able to combine 2 or more color groups together to allow a greater population of students in the building. Also, we've been told by students that they like this because they feel it gives them a sense of normalcy, because they'll see students from all grade levels in the building every time that they are here. So our bell schedule will look as such. Period 1 will start at 7:40. We built in a 15-minute advisory period into period 1, and we'll talk in a little bit about what that advisory period looks like. Each class will be 40 minutes in length. So we took a few minutes off of each period in order to be able to build in that advisory period. Students will still have 5 minutes in between classes to get to their next class. And we think this is really important because it potentially allows us to stagger dismissals by building from period to period. And it also really allows us the opportunity to make sure that students are safely progressing to the next portion of their day, depending on where the building is of their next class. We're going to have 2 lunch periods. Traditionally, White Plains High School has had 1 lunch period. Next year, we will have 2. We'll have a lunch before period 5 and a lunch after period 5. And our dismissal will be 10 minutes in length, which basically means that we're going to dismiss different parts of the building at different times to make sure that students safely progress to the bus. Our Wednesday bell schedule is going to be a little bit shorter for those students who are coming in on Wednesday. The day will end at 11:45 a.m. Students will still come in and meet with an advisor. They will progress through their day. They will not have lunch. They'll just make their way through their classes, and then they will be dismissed. The second half of the day is going to be used for professional development time for staff. Students will learn asynchronously for the second part of the day, but they will have both synchronous and asynchronous opportunities in the morning. So we're getting a lot of questions about what an actual lesson will look like. And a lesson that runs in both a synchronous and asynchronous way is one where students will have the opportunity to connect with their teachers and their classmates in a real-time way. students will also have opportunities to work asynchronously during their lesson. So a child would sign into Schoology at the start of every class. Attendance will be taken at the start of every period. There'll be a check-in, a review of a lesson, review of a lesson agenda and objective. That piece of a lesson will be synchronous. And students will do that using Schoology Conference, Microsoft Teams, Zoom. There will also be a mini lesson component to each lesson. This will be pre-recorded or live and recorded and will be available for students to view at a later time. There will be a student practice piece to each lesson, and that is a time when students will engage in work related to the learning objective. This portion of the lesson may be synchronous. And there will be an exit ticket and assessment attached to each lesson. This portion of the lesson, again, is an opportunity for students to demonstrate their learning, and it also may be synchronous. Students should follow their class schedule 5 days a week. When your child is working from home and they have a study hall, he or she should take a break during their study hall period. When your student is home and is scheduled for lunch, this is also an opportunity for your student to take a break, have some lunch, work on an assignment. We want to make sure that students are given appropriate breaks throughout the day so that they are not in front of the screen for the entire day. So they should take advantage of study halls and lunch as a time for them to take a break, have something to eat, step outside for a moment before coming back for their next class. So our morning drop-off will be a little bit different in that students will be able to access the building at 7:25 each day. Students will be able to enter the building through one of 4 entrances. There's the main entrance, the PE circle, the auditorium entrance, and the bus circle entrance. At each entrance, there will be a breakfast cart. This cart is a chance for students to pick up a breakfast before making their way to advisory. The breakfast will be a cold breakfast. It will be either a muffin, a cereal bar, some cereal, fruit. Hot breakfast will not be served at this time, so it's going to be a grab and go kind of breakfast. Once they grab that breakfast, they should go to first period. Students, unfortunately, will not have access to lockers this year, and students are expected to leave the building at dismissal. So we've been working very hard on our dual lunch periods. Students are going to place their lunch order during their advisory period each day. When students get to advisory, their advisor will ask them to use their device to go to the high school webpage where they will find a form for them to order their lunch. Students will place their lunch order. However, the lunch order will simply be a hot lunch or a cold lunch. There will not be extra items for sale. For example, students will not be able to purchase chips and cookies. The only options they will have are hot lunch or cold lunch. We will then take that information and make sure that our staff has that ready for students. Students will then either go to their lunch period before period 5 or after period 5. Teachers, administrators, and other staff members will monitor students during lunch. White Plains High School will operate as a closed campus this year. So that means that students are not permitted to leave during lunch. Students will be assigned to a lunch location as well as a study hall location. Students may bring their own lunches if they wish to do so, but they may not have food delivered to the building. So that means that when a student sees his or her schedule, as many already have, as schedules went live today, they will be able to see when their lunch period is and where they are assigned to have that lunch. So this is basically what a student will see on their schedule. If you look at this student, she has symphonic band period 5, and on her schedule, you'll see it states lunch after HCAF. That means that this student will go to symphonic band, and after symphonic band will make her way to HCAF to have lunch. The student below her will have lunch after Algebra Regents in B1. So our 3 lunch locations for this year are the H cafeteria, B1, and our atrium.
So we got a lot of questions regarding some logistical things, so that we wanted to be able to answer them. So regarding masks, students will be required to wear masks while they're eating breakfast or during lunch. They are going to be encouraged to leave their backpacks at home if possible. In addition, for water fountains, they should only be used to refill their water bottles. We have a lot of water bottle fountains throughout the building. Mask breaks are flexible, and that it's at the teacher's discretion when their social distancing is possible. And we are going to avoid shared materials when it's possible. So as you all know, attendance is extremely important. We will be taking attendance daily, whether the students are in school or at home. Regular attendance is required for students to experience a positive academic experience. Attendance will be taken by the teachers at the start of school. Therefore, students that are remote must be sure to log on to their respective classes on time. So if their first period class starts at 7:40, the student is expected to log on at 7:40, and the teacher will be taking attendance. Students' attendance will still remain in Infinite Campus and be live on the parent portal. If a student is going to be absent, parents can still call the North or South House offices on the number on the screen, or the numbers can be found on our website as well.
So students, of course, people submitted questions about when students will receive a schedule in their assigned group. Today, our schedules went live and students are able to see their schedule and their assigned group color. We received a question about how we're handling class size and lunchtime. And this is something that we actually worked on with our buildings and grounds group. Our buildings and grounds office provided us, the building administration, with appropriate number of folks to have in each room in order to maintain safe social distancing. Our Infinite Campus management system then divided our groups, and then the building administration reviewed each class and our groups to make sure that each class period remains within that safe social distancing requirement. The same is true for lunch. Because we have 3 lunch spaces and 2 lunch periods, we're able to ensure that there's an appropriate number of students within each of those spaces during lunch. We received a question about choosing the option of going either remote or in person once the quarter is coming to a close end. So if we choose the option of our child attending school in person 1 day a week, will we be able to change our minds to a completely remote option? And the answer is yes. If your child comes to school and he or she feels as though it's not an environment that they feel they want to be in and they'd like to move to that remote environment, you can simply write an email to the principal or actually any administrator and just let them know that your child would like to move to full remote, and we will be happy to move that student to our virtuals group. Our next question is, after completing a full quarter of remote learning, will parents have the option of doing that again for the second quarter? And the answer to that really is that our district is going to put out more information about what will happen after our first quarter. I know folks now have been sending in information about wanting to go remote for the first quarter. So as a whole, the district will send something out as the time gets closer, if they feel it's necessary, in order to let parents know that they will be able to choose that option at a later time. But as of right now, we're just talking about the first quarter. What happens if a student misses their in-person day because it falls on a holiday? So if a student misses an in-person day because it falls on a holiday, that day will just drop and the student will report to school the following week on their scheduled day. So if a student is scheduled to come in on Mondays and Monday is a holiday, then the student would not come to school that week and they would come to school the following Monday. We received, of course, some questions about COVID-19 exposure. Is the district requiring students to take a COVID test and show physical proof of a negative result before they can start school? The answer to that is no, because a negative test result is only good for the moment in time that the test is administered. Therefore, we are not requiring students to take a test and show proof of a result. What is the protocol if a child tests positive for COVID-19? If a child tests positive for COVID-19, contact tracing will commence immediately. The health department will make a determination on who will need to quarantine. Families, of course, will be notified. And if that occurs and your child is in that group and you are notified, then your child will begin remote learning immediately. Mr. Cameron, you're up.
Hello, everyone. When will sports begin? Are they happening this year? So on Monday, this past Monday, August 24th, Governor Cuomo announced that low-risk sports can begin on September 21st. So low-risk sports are sports like tennis, soccer, cross-country, field hockey, and swimming. At this time, that's the information that we're going with. But I will say, the section executive offices are meeting, that we met today, we're meeting again tomorrow, and the executive committee will be meeting on Friday to make a real clear decision on what sports will look like in section 1. Just today on Long Island, they voted and the county was split. So Nassau County's not having sports in the fall and Suffolk County is going to try to have sports. So this is a fluid situation and things will change. But right now, as of September 21st, Governor Cuomo announced low-risk school sports can start. And because of that, we will plan on opening our Family ID on Tuesday, September 1st. So families can register, but we will not open it prior to that. And the next question on my screen, Mr. Vitiello, I can't see it on my screen.
It says, Mr. Cameron, if my child is in an all remote learning program, can they still participate in high school sports, and are there requirements for him or her to do so?
Thank you. Yes, if your child opts the remote option for online learning, they can participate in athletics. There are no restrictions as long as they're a bona fide student, which all students have to be, and that means they're taking 3 classes, including physical education.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. And I just want to go back for a quick second. I'm so sorry. I know there may have been a typo on the previous slide in that there was a bullet that said students will, it should say, not be required to wear a mask while they are eating, of course. So I think it may have said should, but it should be should not be required to, will not be required to wear a mask while eating.
All right, so we're moving on to questions about student supports. So the first question, can you elaborate on the 15-minute advisory period in the morning? Will an advisor visit the classroom? So the advisory period is being added on to period 1. So it will now be the first 15 minutes of period 1. And again, we've extended period 1 this year by 15 minutes. So advisory is going to run from 7:40 to 7:55. An advisor will not be visiting the classroom. The advisor will be your child's first period teacher. Also, at times throughout the year, a guidance counselor or a member of our PPS staff may also be pushing into the advisories. But during that advisory period, students are going to be able to eat their breakfast, listen to some daily announcements. They will also be ordering their lunch using their device and going onto the high school website and pulling up the Microsoft form to choose their hot or cold lunch for the day. And this will also be a time for the advisor to check in with all students and for students to have any questions answered, if they have any concerns. the advisor can assist or direct the students to the appropriate individuals within the building. And again, this is also a time for the advisor to share information with students regarding any new building protocols or procedures. And the next question is, how will special education students receive their related services? So to the extent possible, related service providers will be providing those related services in person when students are physically present in the building. If a related service extends across cohorts of students, that related service will be delivered remotely. If students have chosen to participate in a solely remote program, then all related services will be delivered remotely by the service provider. And, you know, if there are any specific questions regarding special education services, our secondary director of special education, Celia Strino, is happy to answer any of those questions. And here on this slide, we did provide her email address as well as her telephone number.
We've been getting a lot of questions about technology and also the start of the school year. So the first question, what date does school begin? School begins remotely for everyone on September 10th. On September 21st, students who have opted for the hybrid model will follow their schedule on cohort color to come into school on their assigned days. Second question, how will students who are fully remote get access to a computer if they returned one from last year? We'll be sending out a K-12 alert this week. Basically, our ninth graders are going to keep their iPads from Highlands that they had last year. There have already been updates made to them, so they do not have to return them. Our 10th graders will pick up their iPads on September 3rd or 4th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. by the main entrance of White Plains High School. For our 11th and 12th graders, due to worldwide shipping delays, the 11th and 12th graders can use their home device to start, but if they do not have one, students who need an iPad to start the year will fill out a form that can be found on White Plains High School's webpage. There's also going to be a link to it in the K-12 alert that will be coming out. iPad distribution for those that filled out or will fill out the form will be on September 8th and 9th, also from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. by the main entrance of White Plains High School. We're hopeful that iPads for the rest of our 11th and 12th graders will be available shortly, and there will be more information to come as we have it.
So as Ms. Rappaport mentioned, there will be a link to a form that goes out in our K-12 alert for 11th and 12th graders. However, if your 11th or 12th grader already knows that they would need an iPad for next year, that link is already live on our high school webpage. So if you just scroll down towards the bottom of the webpage, there is a box that says 11th and 12th grade device request form. They can fill that out now. You don't have to wait for that alert to come out. And then they will receive contact to let them know the day and time that they should come pick it up.
And one of our last questions, what does my child do if they have any technical difficulties? Your child can email Ms. Mondelli. Her contact information will be in the K-12 alert, but in case you need it because there's a problem with the device that a student might already have, her email is mmondelli, so it's mmondeli@wpcsd.k12.ny.us.
Okay, questions about online learning and testing. What software will the school and teachers utilize for assigning and submitting assignments? Teachers will be using Schoology, MS Teams, and Zoom to deliver their instruction. Will New York State Regents still be held this year? The New York State Education Department has provided tentative dates for the January and June testing period that will be administered if it is deemed safe to do so. Will students be able to take AP classes if they are in remote learning? All students will be able to take the full complement of classes that are listed on their schedule. And they will be able to do that whether they're remote or in the building. Will AP testing take place this year? We're still awaiting direction from the College Board concerning AP testing as to whether or not they will be offering those exams.
Hi, good evening. I'll be answering questions about sick day protocols and instruction. So the first question is, if a student stays home sick on his or her in-person school day, can they participate in remote learning on that day? The answer is yes. If a student stays home on their in-person school day, they may participate in remote learning on that day. And in fact, they are encouraged to do so if they feel up to it. This includes students who might be quarantining at home. The second question is about PE. Will students be participating in gym? Will they have a locker? Will they change for gym? Students will be participating in physical education classes. However, they will not have a PE locker nor access to the locker room. They will participate in the clothing that they wore to school that day, and therefore should be sure to wear clothing that's comfortable and sneakers on a day they have PE. My final question is, will students be expected to sit in front of a screen all day with only one 30-minute break? And which portions of the day will be synchronous or asynchronous? So students will be expected to sit at their computer for the entirety of the school day, beginning first period through the end of their class schedule, which for most students is 8th period. Of note, students who are home will not participate in advisory. They should therefore log on after the 15-minute advisory period, which will be at 7:55 a.m. Attendance will be taken during each class period, and students are expected to be present and on time. Regarding which portions of the day are synchronous or asynchronous, that will vary, as each period will have varying degrees of synchronous or asynchronous instruction based on the instructor and the particular lesson. Each student should therefore be on their computers at the start of each lesson, ready to follow the teacher's directions for how that lesson will go for the day.
And just to comment on Miss Morell's question, we really are trying to encourage students that when they do have a study hall or they do have a lunch period on their schedule, that is really a time for them to take a break and to step away for a second from their screen.
So we've received a lot of questions regarding BOCES and how BOCES will operate. BOCES is planning on providing 5 full days of in-person instruction. This will allow the students to meet the mandated hours required for the various certification programs that our students are enrolled in. The district will provide transportation to and from BOCES, whether your child is in school or remote learning. If you wish to drive your child, you can do so. Or if your child would like to drive themselves, there's plenty of parking at BOCES. But I just ask that if you have a child that's attending BOCES and you plan on transporting them yourselves, please send me an email so that we can let transportation know. Also, BOCES plans to start on September 8th. However, that date is subject to change, and as soon as we have further information, we'll be sending out a K-12 alert. So regarding if students can meet with their guidance counselors, while we're in remote learning, obviously they can meet with their counselors via Zoom or Schoology. And when we move to the hybrid model, the students, when they're in school, they can meet with their school counselors. However, they're strongly encouraged to create an appointment with their counselors via email, Remind, or through a Calendly link, which is something that we use during program planning, which gives them direct access to schedule their own appointment with their counselor on their counselor's calendar. Counselors have been assigned classroom spaces, so they will not be meeting with students in their office to ensure that social distancing guidelines are met. All parent meetings will be held virtually with our guidance counselors, as well as our guidance nights. Our guidance lessons will occur in a virtual platform, via Schoology, and if it's in a hybrid model, we will be meeting with kids in person in a large classroom setting. The counselors will continue to communicate with students via Reminds, email, Naviance, and Zoom. I also wanted to just add a note about SAT and ACT testing. We've been receiving a lot of questions on if they will be occurring this fall. Our goal is to host all SAT and ACT. However, that is subject to change depending on the health department and whether we're allowed to host the exams or not. Also, please note that spots are going to be limited due to social distancing guidelines. And with regard to college visits, we believe that getting our students in front of the college representatives is important. So we have reached out to the reps, and they will be hosting virtual college reps with all of our students. And the links to the virtual meetings will be in Naviance, so students can join at that time, whether they're at home or whether they're in school.
So I'm going to be answering questions about extracurricular activities. So our clubs meeting this year, if they are virtual, what will that look like? Clubs and groups will hold all meetings virtually, at least for the beginning part of the school year. Pretty much the advisors and the students in those clubs will create how they want to meet, be it if they're using Zoom or if they're just using the Remind app or however they choose to meet with students. They'll determine how they want to meet and what that's going to look like, since our clubs and our groups are pretty much run by our students. Will there be any special webinar for the freshman orientation? Yes. There will be an orientation video available on the White Plains High School website September 4th. And also there will be something sent out also from guidance. So there will be, from the guidance counselors, there will be a few opportunities for the 9th graders that are coming in to receive information about the school, about their guidance counselors, and any events and anything that is happening as well. Will students take class photos? So right now we are focusing on senior portraits, which is, those senior portraits are scheduled for the week of September 8th and the week of September 14th. Once we finish the senior portraits, we will look at creating and sending out dates for underclassmen photos. And I also just want to make a note that it is super important to check the White Plains High School website under announcements frequently. We do post everything and anything that is happening on the website under announcements. Thank you.
Okay, so questions about assessments and attendance. First question, my worry is that tests will be given to students on the one day each week that the students are in school. I'd hate to see this day used for assessment purposes only. Is this being discussed, and what are some possible solutions? So really nice question, and that's certainly a valid concern regarding the start of hybrid instruction on September 21st. Let me just say that there is no indication that teachers or department coordinators feel as though tests and quizzes are the best use of our admittedly limited in-person instruction. On the contrary, I think we can agree that the one day a week that we are working towards is absolutely precious. It's a time for teachers to talk to students, to connect with them, to build relationships, to offer support. So while we can't say that there will never be an assessment during in-person instruction, I can say, based on the conversations I've been involved in, that it certainly won't be the norm. Regarding the second part of the question, the piece about solutions to this issue, I know that many people tend to think of assessments as paper tests and quizzes that are completed in a classroom, but the truth is there are a lot of different ways to measure student understanding. It happens through essays, short answer prompts, projects, interactive discussions, etc. And all of these can be done remotely, as can traditional exams that are digitally uploaded to Schoology. And teachers are returning next week, and I know that department coordinators will be meeting with them to talk about expectations, norms, and best practices. Okay, next question regarding attendance. If a student has a doctor's appointment during a virtual school day, what do they do if they can't check in for class? So first of all excused absences should be treated similarly to how they've been handled in past years. More specifically, if your child is a South House student, you should call Ms. Watkins in the South House office at 422-2154. If your child is a North House student, you simply call Ms. Iannucci in the North House office at 422-2135. And if the absence is medical in nature or otherwise excused, we will just go ahead and mark it as such in the attendance. And while I know that none of us, would prefer remote instruction over in-person instruction in a non-pandemic world, one of the unique benefits of remote instruction is that it is particularly easy to catch up on missed material. All students need to do in these cases is just go on to Schoology, where they will find the lessons and assignments for each day.
So, Dr. Freeman-Mack, if you want to talk about the class reminds, and then Mr. Russo, maybe you can talk about the administrative remind.
Will do. So in order to further support the dissemination of information, especially to students, we're encouraging all students to go in and register on the remind. This is also, again, posted on the website under announcements for each class. There have been reminds in the past, but we want to make sure that those phone numbers and the information is updated and correct. So we are encouraging all students to register on Remind to receive information. The codes are there by class, so students, please do register on Remind.
Okay, and regarding the piece at the bottom, so anytime the building administration wants to get important information out to the community, we always send out a K-12 alert and we always post information on the homepage of the school website. That said, we saw last year during the shutdown that many folks are not signed up for K-12 alerts and don't regularly check the school webpage. So my first piece of advice would be for parents to log into the K-12 alerts system to make sure that they are signed up for notifications. You can access the K-12 portal through the Student Family Links section of the White Plains High School website. And just one really important point to emphasize, I know that sometimes I think there's some confusion. Families seem to think K-12 alerts is the same system as the IC portal. They are separate and distinct entities. So if you go to the White Plains High School website, you'll see a login for the IC portal. You will also see a login for K-12 alerts. K-12 alerts is what will get you our notifications. And my second piece of advice, and you can see it listed here at the bottom of the slide, is for parents to join our new administrative Remind account by texting at WPHS admin to 81010. We plan on using the Remind app as just one more layer of information dissemination this year.
All right, and that wraps up our parent webinar for this evening. We'd like to say thank you to all of you for viewing this webinar this evening. And as more information becomes available, of course, we will continue to notify you via K-12 alerts and also through our high school webpage. Please know that we are all doing our best to make our school a very safe place where students can learn. And we appreciate your support, and we look forward to a very successful school year. We hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Good night.